The United Nations Commission of Inquiry says Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. A new report says there are reasonable grounds to conclude that 4 of the 5 genocidal acts defined under international law have been carried out since the start of the war with Hamas in 2023, killing members of a group, causing them serious bodily and mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions calculated to destroy the group, and preventing births. Now, it cites statements by Israeli leaders and the pattern of conduct by Israeli forces as evidence of genocidal intent. Israel has categorically rejected the report, denouncing it as distorted and false.
Genocide is occurring in Gaza and is continuing to occur, and the responsibility lies with the state of Israel. We identified 3 persons in this report, and that is Prime Minister Netanyahu, the former Minister of Defense, Gallant, and one other, the President of Israel, whose statements inciting genocide is recorded faithfully. So much of this evidence, by the way, was posted by Israeli soldiers themselves. They were very proud of what they'd done. And you can hear it there. They've been instructed to shoot. You see anyone and you shoot them because they're not supposed to be there. And this message coming from the head of state, the president saying it's the whole population of Palestinians who are in Hamas, that kind of message sent to the military means that they are killing indiscriminately and violating international law.
Now, for more on the United Nations finding Israel guilty of genocide, I'm now joined by Professor Chukwudi Odoeme, Head of Public and International Law, Veritas University, Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you, as always.
I mean, what would you say really is the import of the UN's commission, coming out with this report saying indeed Israel is guilty of 4 of 5, points in terms of when it comes to genocide? What are we to do with this? What exactly does it mean?
Yeah, that's a very strong statement that's been sent to Israel and their accomplices in this atrocious war. Coming from the UN is a very important statement, something anybody should be careful of. But then the question is, what happens to UN resolutions? What happens to UN declarations?
Right.
Of course, this matter hasn't actually been discussed on the UN floor. It's just a committee report. But then is also a warning for other countries that are involved in some form of genocidal war or any conflict that is targeted at a group of people within the state or around the state, to be mindful of the fact that the UN is watching, which UN is the police of the world at the moment. So they have all the apparatus, they have everything that you can need to make sure that such things do not happen. But the question is, why do we let this happen repeatedly?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't envy the UN because they're overwhelmed by tales of war. Most of them have this
so many
component.
fires to put out.
Yeah, so many fires to put out at the same time. Look at Russia going against Ukraine. And of course, some Ukrainians are Russians.
Right.
And you can find those pockets of conflicts in all of these countries that make up the UN. The countries that are, they have the higher voices in the UN. China is doing the same with its neighbors, and even people within its own confines. The same thing is happening in Canada with a particular tribe in Canada. They've been oppressing since 1920s.
Yeah.
So I don't envy the UN at this point, so to say.
So, yeah, the report is out there, and we even heard from the Commission itself that these findings do not necessarily speak officially for the UN. So now that this report is out, do you see it in any way deterring Netanyahu, Gallant, and of course the others that have been named? I mean, Isaac Herzog, PM Netanyahu was mentioned, and Yoav Gallant, the former defense minister. Will these 3 people be held directly responsible for what we now hear or know is genocide?
Yeah, if such
who
a day,
who will hold them responsible?
if such a day comes, they'll be held responsible. But then
Right.
it's not about holding responsible. It's about the incidents leading to what has happened. There's a war going on, a war initiated by Palestine. That's a war. You know, they're still holding Israelis hostages.
Right.
Yeah. So and then for countries who care about their people is somehow to stay and know that your own citizens are being held as hostages in other country while a conflict is going on, and the indicators are that these people are within the Gaza Strip.
Right.
So what do you want Israel to do? To sit back and wait for the UN to make statements endlessly and then nothing happens? So
so you agree with Israel, Netanyahu, when he says, look, I mean, this is all about self-defense, to defeat Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups, and of course, you know, to bring back the hostages from Gaza. Israel justified?
Yeah, it's not a case of justification. Let me not say
Okay.
yes. There's a case of justification, but then that's a rationale. That's something that has been advanced by Israel as a reason they are in the Gaza Strip doing what they are doing, even to the point of going as far as going to, where they had to go and strike.
The recent one in Qatar?
Yeah, in Qatar, exactly. Sorry,
before that, of course, was Hezbollah
in
Lebanon.
So whenever you find people who are against your interests of the state, you must go after them. That's what national interest is all about. You can't sit down and wait for people to, you know, decimate your own country, make it ungovernable, or be perpetual enemies to you. Even those of them who are fighting, condemning what Israel is doing, including Iraq, is also having such complaints within its own territory.
Even the United States.
I'm not even mentioning them.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the big boys in that Arab world.
Right.
Turkey, the same thing. You know, so is up there, national interest is first above every other thing. So once anything is done in the name of national interest, you know, the idea of that genocide has been committed or war crimes have been committed is not exactly on the front burner.
Right.
But then when it happens, for countries that are weak, I must emphasize that, because big countries don't go to anybody, don't get a day in the ICJ. It's only poor countries and countries that do not have any
that South
contribution.
Africa actually made an attempt to you know, bring Israel to book, but that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so South Africa is not a power bloc.
Yeah.
So you can imagine if it was Russia that brought that matter, or China, or UK, or even France, it would have made a whole lot of meaning.
Right.
But then South Africa also do not have clean hands. The xenophobia in their own country is also an act of violence that may be targeted to people. If you look at it, that is not justifiable. It's condemnable under international law.
But people are asking for a country that's also suffered genocide. Talking about Israel, of course, recall the Holocaust.
Yes.
You know, inflicting what we're now being told is genocide. How do you even, you know, how do you see that, and how do you address this situation now? Now that you say, look, really, the UN is totally helpless. What exactly can the global community do?
Yeah, so I think the major question is, what can the Arab League do?
Okay,
because
it's in the hands of the Arab League.
this is a country that is surrounded by Arabs, and each time you just make statements. What are you doing beyond asking for a two-state solution that's been on the table since 1948? It's been there. It was even there before the creation of the State of Israel. So I think they should take some proactive action. When the two-state solution came up for the first time, the idea was to move Israel to Angola. They found a space within Angola territory to move them. So why is nobody talking about that?
Right.
Is it only that strip that can accommodate them? Egypt has a landmass that can accommodate them and give them a small piece, or even take care of them, or even bring them into their own neighborhood.
That's
so I think
whole other conversation.
Yes, a whole lot of conversation. Then it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that this is right, but then this is expedient.
Right.
Yes, because national interest is at stake.
Right. Yeah. And as far as Israel is concerned, it's in self-defense.
Yes.
We'll have to leave it there. Professor Chukwudi Odoeme is the head public and international law, Veritas University.